how holistic voice work can support interoception, or the deepening, strengthening of that connection. Interoception being the feeling of knowing what is happening in your body. So examples of this is hunger, thirst, warmth, cold. And interoception is that awareness and sensation of all of the different processes occurring. So I feel like I'm very much swimming in that space at the moment, because I'm in the midst of a spring cleanse, and this is something I've been called to do earlier in the winter, and then acknowledging that period at the start of the year is not really the best time for me personally to explore a kind of cleansing process. But coinciding with spring and that little bit of energy that feels like it's starting to propel me forward, there's actually something behind me pushing me now into the seasonal shift, which feels like a more natural time, a more complementary time to work with those cycles and shifts. If you're interested in the traditional Chinese medicine frameworks, there are all sorts of assertions about when, at what point in the calendar, as it relates to the seasons, is a complementary time to look at that. But again, it's very much down to you, your body, and what resources you have, and also what else might be going on for you externally. Like, can your workflow, can your life actually support you to be in a process of journeying with something like a cleanse, which might bring up all sorts of unexpected side effects or symptoms, depending on your state of health before. But that aside, I'm not here to totally wax on about cleansing because I'm not a nutritionist. But I will say that in the past few days, what has been really interesting for me to connect with is my internal voice and my inner guidance, my inner knowing, inner wisdom, and to really have check-in points where my body is obviously going through a process at the moment, and I'm just trying to meet my energy levels and acknowledge the shifts and changes that are happening for me. And I'm going through a herbal protocol, so there's definitely all sorts of things happening with my taste buds, feeling more thirsty. Energy levels are kind of fluctuating quite a bit. I'm experiencing a sort of bit of brain fog and cloudy, not totally feeling at my cognitive functioning at as I feel at my best. And then internally, I feel very much like there's something hollow going on, or I feel a bit empty even after eating food. So there's all of these different things that are coming up, and I recognize that having that real capacity to be hyper focused and attuned to what the shifts are and what my needs are in response to those changes, in part that relationship has been established by the fact that I have a consistent practice and reflection and connection with holistic voice work as a tool. So I am used to coming into my internal awareness and doing check-ins and doing body scans, and also trying to be aware of general health and vocal health to be able to support my creative endeavours and to look after my body instrument and also my general health and well-being, emotional, psychological, social, physiological, spiritual, all of these different components, and actually that there is a consistency in the way that I am engaging with those kind of questions. They're part of my daily practice, they're part of my life. So to then be in a very direct way taking on board a shift or a change in my lifestyle and my routine, I feel like I'm better equipped to be able to reflect on and notice subtle changes that are happening. So I just thought that was worth to mention, because it's an interesting experience to be doing something which I consider to be very much situated within the physiological element of self-care. But then the things that I'm picking up on, and the subtle shifts and changes that are communicating themselves to me, are not necessarily manifesting in a physiological way and presenting themselves in that way. They're maybe coming through an emotional shift or change, or something that's related to my mood, or just my needs, that my needs feel like they're changing and adapting. So this is an interesting idea to consider in regards to habit. What are the habits that I am usually drawn towards or in a relationship with, and how are they shifting and changing as I'm following this protocol and going through this cleanse. And also my emotional awareness of, maybe this is the time that I usually have my cup of coffee and I'm missing that, and trying to identify, am I missing that at a level that's to do with a physical need related to withdrawal, caffeine, or is it actually an emotional attachment to having that time and that space that just happens to be represented by that particular substance? So it's kind of sparking lots of ideas for me at this point in terms of thinking about my relationship to all these things and kind of tracking my internal voice as I'm moving through this, and trying to allow all of these illuminations to be heard and acknowledged. And in a way, there's a process of reframing and almost re-educating as well. So thinking about making choices to be more healthful and to be actively engaged in that process. And one thing to note that I did experience today was that kind of little narrative going on of like, oh, well, I feel like I would feel so much better if I had some sugar right now, or, my emotional needs would be much better fulfilled and met if you gave me what I really wanted. So it's been really interesting to just hear these internal narratives going on, like justifications for or patterns and habits that are translating themselves in my awareness to a really direct communication with my body, where I'm kind of checking in and I'm like, oh, this is an interesting feeling. Like, what is it? Am I tired? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? And not always having a clear answer to that. So I definitely feel like there's some new new space being created internally, which is really the aim of why I'm doing this. But yeah, a pleasant side effect to be feeling more connected with that internal vocal awareness as well, and trying to lean into that and use that as a supportive framework to help me navigate this space, so that I can, move through the more challenging points with this, as I have been experiencing in fits and starts of, oh, I feel like I'm depriving myself of something, or I feel like I'm missing out on something, and actually trying to identify and recognize, is that my body talking to me and telling me that it's missing something, or is that my emotional space or my spiritual self kind of saying that it needs a bit of support, a bit of nourishment, and am I resourced to be able to give myself that? So I just wanted to share a little bit about that process that I'm working through just now. And yeah, wouldn't have necessarily envisaged that I could make a correlation between that and voice work, but I just thought it was an interesting opportunity to highlight interoception, as this is definitely something that continues to be supported and cultivated by stepping into this kind of work, and that serves to assist you in all number of ways, engaging in different practices and routines, and yeah, self-care, and well-being, and also creativity. So yeah, hopefully some of these insights have been helpful, and yeah, we'll see how the rest of the 2 weeks goes, and if there are any other insights to share from that.